own your choices, though. That's really what I want this to be about. And I wasn't owning my choices. I was making all of my problems somebody else's problem. Once I stopped making those excuses and started to take ownership of the shit in my life that I needed to change, a lot changed for me. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of the Better Than Yesterday show. My name is Eric Riley. I'm going to be your host. And before we get into this show, I just want to say thank you all so much for listening to the very first episode of this. You do not understand how much it means to me to have even one person listen to what I have to say on this show. So I just wanted to start it off with that. For the very first episode, I just want to give you guys a little bit of introduction on what I hope to accomplish with this show, who I am, just go through the who, what, why, and how of this show really quick and concisely for you guys. Probably only going to take about 10 to 15 minutes of your time. So let me start with the who. My name's Eric Riley. I'm 24 years old. I live in King of Prussia, which is right outside of Philadelphia. I work at a software company by day, and we provide core banking software to large financial institutions. So I'm like a production support role. So I fix the defects and talk to clients and kind of articulate like what's going wrong with your system or what's going right. Any type of banking functions that need to be handled. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis for my day job. On the side, I create content on Instagram and TikTok, and now obviously I'm starting this podcast. So those are a couple of my side things that I do. I also founded a company last year named Stella Digital Media. We provide, website, creative, marketing solutions to brands of all sizes, right? And then my next big goal is actually to start to buy a house next year, or I guess this year actually, in the next couple months, and start house hacking, which is, my first, I guess, the next step in my plan to financial freedom. So that's a little bit about me. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of background of where I am currently. Next, I just want to move on to why am I starting this show? What do I hope to do? What inspired me to do this? And that's a good story. So I've always known in the back of my mind, like I've always told myself, like, you're going to be successful. You're going to get your shit done. Like, you're going to do it, right? Like, you're going to be all the great things that you believe that you're going to be one day. And to be honest with you, for the first like 23 years of my life, I never really acted in alignment with that line of thought. So I always told myself these things. I always, believed it, but I really never was going and doing what a successful person would be doing. You know what I mean? I wasn't learning things that I should be learning. I wasn't doing the going through the financial motions that I should have been. I was spending stupid money. I just didn't know, right? And I kind of had a switch turn in my brain. I guess it was, mid-February of 2020, right before all this COVID stuff happened. And I read a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And for whatever reason, like, now, the more I think back on it, the more I think like the book was definitely really impactful for me, but I was really looking for that turning point in my life to just flip a switch in me and say like, yo, it's time to go. Because I guess like I was 24 years old, I was just starting to get into my adult life. I had just finished college and I just started my new job that I'm still working at right now. And I was really just thinking like, all right, dude, like it's time to go. Like you said, you're going to be successful, do all this shit. Like you're not fucking doing that shit. Like, and, I was 210 pounds at the time. I was, not eating well, not being healthy. I didn't have a good financial situation. I had no plan to get where I wanted to go financially. And, after I read the first couple pages of 7 Habits and got to, habit 1 talks about being proactive, I really started to think about like, wow, like I am just not being, proactive about the right things in my life. Like all my values in life are all so misconstrued, I would say. I wasn't, I didn't know what I was supposed to be acting in alignment with because I didn't hold good values for myself. And that all started to change pretty rapidly after that. I started eating better. I started running every day. And I just really tried to, get more on my shit. And within a couple months, I lost a lot of weight. I was reading a lot more. I was learning a lot of, really like helpful things to just push me forward in life. And, not necessarily like, oh, I wasn't seeing like all these crazy results immediately, but I started to have more of a belief like, yo, you really are going places now. Like, you're starting to implement the right things in your life to get you to the places where you need to be. And that's kind of what I guess I'm really segueing into the what here, but that's what really inspired me to want to, show people, hey, you're probably leaving a lot on the table right now. And I am still leaving a lot on the table, I'm sure. It is very hard to get to 100% effectiveness and own your own your choices though. That's really what I want this to be about. And I wasn't owning my choices. I was making all of my problems somebody else's problem and blaming outside forces for the shit that was happening to me. And once I stopped making those excuses and started to take ownership of the shit in my life that I needed to change, a lot changed for me. So I'm just segueing into the what here. This is a podcast to help people realize their full potential in every capacity. Now, if you follow me on Instagram at all, I have an Instagram called Rick's Doing It, RicksDoinit. I also have a TikTok. That Instagram page that I made about 3 months ago is centered around the exact same thing, and it has just really opened up my eyes to how much of an impact it is possible to make, and it's really been an amazing experience for me. So I want to double down on it by having a podcast about it. So every capacity, meaning I want you to be better emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, mentally, every single capacity. And I want this podcast to be something that every single time you listen to, you get better for. And I want this to be for the types of people who are trying to constantly improve every single day. Hence the name of the podcast, Better Than Yesterday, right? I want you to always be thinking about, what can I do today that I didn't do yesterday? What can I do today better than I did yesterday? How can I be better today? Because if you get 1% better every single day for 365 days in a row, you are 30-something times better than you were at the beginning of that year. And even if you think that's unrealistic, even if you do that for like 200 days in a row, you're still like 10 times better than you were at the beginning of that. So just think about that. And that's exactly the philosophy and message that I want to get out here with this new podcast. So now I just want to go into the how a little bit of, what the structure of this podcast is going to be like and how I hope to achieve, my why, which is helping you realize your full potential, my what, whatever you want to call it. So you should expect about one episode per week. I don't want to commit to a day that I'm going to drop it just because, stuff comes up, but I promise you I'm going to do my best to get at least one episode out a week. And follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're on, and follow me on social to know whenever they drop. I'll be making posts about it, etc. These episodes are going to vary in length, so when it's just me, when it's something like this type of structure where it's just me kind of ranting to you guys about some topic or something that I thought of, it's probably going to be pretty short and concise, 10 to 20 minutes, because I'm just trying to get my point across as effectively as possible and not take up too much of your time. Now, when it's an episode with another guest where it's more of like a discussion forum, it might be a little longer because, I really want to hear what they have to say. And I think there's a lot of value in back and forth discussion. And when it's more of a rant, I'm going to have sort of like my notes, like a structure here. That's not going to be the case with a discussion, right? I have no idea what the other person is going to say. We're just going back and forth. So that's what you guys can kind of expect going into this podcast. And I just want to say, again, thank you all so much for tuning into the very first episode. I promise you guys, I'm going to do my absolute best to bring you guys immense value in every single one of these episodes without taking up too much of your time. So with that, guys, I'm going to leave you and expect another episode in a week. I will talk to you all then. See you later.